that's the right word of the Lord. You know, I always think about the word of the Most High coming when Jeremiah or Ezekiel were in the midst of captivity, and then the spirit, they were taken up in the spirit. And I see this moment, you know, as a time for us to awaken, and that the word of the Lord is coming back to us and giving us an opportunity to realign. Because like you said, you mentioned something, how the pestilence, then the sword, then the Most High comes. There's process to everything recycling itself, or as people would try to interpret it, Mother Nature's kicking back, or whatever terms you want to use. But the ultimate truth is that the earth has the Most High created and commanded it to do, and is going to fulfill what it's been created to do.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
All these interpretations and politicizing, and it's because of this, and and we put our own names on it. These nations have been, you don't stop being a human being, right? So like you were saying earlier, from 1600, you could take that all the way to the 6th century BC. That lineage and line stayed alive and was walking in obedience, whether it was quote unquote right or wrong, to get us to this point here. So we are the fullness. It shows that the Most High has been sustaining us. So that whole idea of being inferior is a misnomer, because it's like,
you just hit it right on the head. We are so great. We are so great. The Most High said, I'm not killing. There's nations out here that are completely wiped out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are not gonna die. You're gonna be tortured worse than any. We got tortured. As I said, torture is worse than death. What's been done to us is worse than death. We could not die. Oh, you think about it. In Louisiana, they had slave breeding camps. Do you know what the term motherfucker means? That happened with us in slavery. They used to put paper bags over us. Your mother was a strong stallion, you was a strong stallion, you'd be like, we don't even understand the what the Most High really did to us. You know what I'm saying?
And people would say, God did that to you. That's too hard. Because you're looking at it through a lens. And you're from a Western thought process. You think Western. You think the scriptures is not written from Western thought process.
Not at all.
It's not anything to do with that. So that's the humility as well, is to realize you're speaking another language. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we talk about that story. That was their Babylonian names after captivity. They wasn't their real name was Belteshazzar, and you know there was I can't remember the exact names, but it was a different name. And we gotta realize
Daniel was his real name. Belteshazzar was his slave.
Yeah. That's the reverse actually. So with that overstanding, that's where we come to a place that the Most High is going to humble you. Every knee will bow.
Everyone. Oh, you're going to bow down to the Most High
at some point. Even if you're conscious or unconscious of, you still
sooner. You better do it sooner rather than later. That's how we know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So right now it's the disease. Disease comes first. Disease and pestilence, then the famine. There's gonna be no food out here. That's why the Most High told us to separate, gather, plant our own gardens, plant our own vineyards. Gather.
7 years of famine from Joseph with Egypt. You see these cycles throughout scripture, but people get so caught up in literary this and no, that's not from this, and this is. You got to know the spirit of what is being said and watch it in nature. That was the one thing that you really helped clarify in my awakening, is like what you see in nature should be reflected all the way to spiritual term. There shouldn't be no myths. Most High said it, you can see it throughout history to right now, and you can perceive it to be as it's going to be, because you just gave us
exactly.
So one last question.
Yeah.
So when you think of bringing light and changing culture,
yeah,
all right, what comes to mind?
The biggest thing that we need to change is we need to rely on ourselves more, create legacy value income, and we need to be able to sustain it by ourselves. I have tea that helps you focus. I have tea that helps deal with like stress and depression and anxiety. I have tea to help with weight loss. I have tea to help with your immune system, help boost your immune system. All of these things are things that help build us up, whether it be body or mind or just confidence in ourselves, you know? This is Moluba, and this is my life.
Go.
talked about even
He told us. He told us once we woke up to do what? Go to the wilderness. Because you can't properly understand the Most High without being in the wilderness. Even me being out here, my understanding grew tremendously. Just seeing cycles, knowing, watching, watching the understanding, getting out of the count. I don't even use the counter. I use the Most High. I know by the moon, the stars, the sun. I know what time it is of the day based on the sun. I don't even need no watch. I know what time it is. I know what day of the month it is based on the moon. You know what I'm saying? Just really leaving captivity in every single way, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You know what I'm saying? And understanding you can't do that without being in the wilderness, watching things grow, the time it takes for things to grow. Slowing your life down. The city got you moving 50 miles per hour, got you going through life mad fast, mad stress, mad hard. You know what I'm saying? Life's not supposed to be that hard. You know what I mean?
Cole, we was having a conversation earlier in the meeting, and Cole, remember what you was talking about, how before we knew how to navigate through the water. We knew how to do everything.
We didn't need GPS.
We didn't need yeah, right.
Yeah, we didn't need it, but he just touched on it again. See, just the sky, knowing north, south, east, and west, understanding sunrise. All these different things are things that are natural to us. But like you said, this life in which we live that's so fast paced, we've kind of removed ourselves. It's almost like we're in a outer space of some sort. We're here but not here.
Concrete jungle.
Yeah,
that's the man called it, the concrete jungle.
Yeah, it's amazing that the things that we forsake. Because even when you go back to farming, agriculture, those type of things, that was the bread and butter years and years and years and years ago, even within the white community. But as you can see, the farmers.
America was 90% farmers.
Farmers, 90%. That's it. Then that switch came that made it look like farming was some type of lower level profession, because now we've grown to inner cities. You see how the mentality
what it graduated. So when you think of a nation, it's a nation. All nations are in graduation process, right? You go to Brazil, they're about 60 to 70 years behind America and everything. You know what I'm saying? So nations actually grow. Like America grew. We had to get to farming. We got to learn how to live here. Once we got that down pat, boom. Now we can go to building things and technology and spaceships. You know what I mean? You actually grow as a nation, but the first thing is actually agriculture. It's the root.
And that's what they brought us over here to do. That's what we were here before to do. That's what we're the native people. We're the soil people. We're the land people. So once we get back to the land, that's where our power is. That's where our sustenance is. We're in concrete. We're in asphalt. We're in rubber. So everything that's not.
What's the craziest thing? People always want to become a millionaire. You know, the easiest path to become a millionaire is a farmer.
Right.
About it. You put one seed in the ground, the Most High gives you hundreds of thousands of seeds back. Nothing can do that for you but the Most High. You want to go from nothing to something? That's what Jacob did. Literally, Jacob worked for Laban for 7 years. Then he worked for another 7 years. And then what did the Most High do? Increase his cattle overnight. He went from 2 sheep to like 10,000 sheep to cattle, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you talking about dealing with the Most High. You can have 1 year, you can start with 1 male sheep and 4 or 5 females. Next year you got 20 sheep. The next year after that you got 40 sheep. The next year after that you got 100 sheep. Then you start producing. That meanwhile, that whole time you got food and you eating. You're not even living in money. I don't need money. What the heck is money?